everyone, Michelle Courage here from the Raise Your Vibe podcast with Michelle, or if you're watching this on YouTube, which I'm sure you're going to, welcome to Debby Emeny. Oh my word, it's been good. It's been such a beautiful journey coming together to meet you, Debby, and now for us to have this beautiful galactic conversation is going to be so wonderful. So welcome, Debby.
Thank you, Michelle. It's really, really awesome to be here. Very honoured that you asked to have a chat. And yes, absolutely loving the connections that we're creating together too. Thank you.
I mean, our chats can get quite galactic. So I thought I want to see what's going to happen today, where we're going to go. So
I look forward to finding out.
I'll tell you, I love that picture behind you because it kind of signifies that whole soul family vibe. And I'm so aware of the fact that you have this, your gifts are so expansive. It's rare that I can sit down with someone and talk in such a deep level, on such a weird and galactic level, and the person is with me, if not even ahead of me. So, that is for me so brilliant to be able to converse with someone like that.
Oh, thank you.
I'm excited to see what we may just be talking normal stuff, or you never know.
Well, that is normal stuff.
Well, it's normal to us, but other people might think it's like a crime.
Exactly. It's my family here. My family.
Exactly. What I wanted to ask you was how early on were your gifts? Did they come by baptism of fire like some people do, or was it a slow unraveling of a process?
I'd like to say almost none of the above, because I was just born into it. I could do things as a child that I didn't realize other people couldn't do. I could tune into energies. I knew what people were, I wouldn't say thinking at that time, but I could sense who they were as a person. As soon as I could talk, I could then start telling them a little bit about themselves. I was charging crystals when I was younger. And there was one little story at school. They would hand me a book. I say about that thick, but your readers can't, or listeners can't see that. It's probably about, 4 inches thick. And they would say to me, draw something out of that book, a book I'd never seen before. And I put my hand on the top of the book, and I was never much of a drawer, but I did an outline of the shape, and they flicked through the book and found that.
Oh my word.
It's just normal for me. I was always the weird kooky one at school, I really was. And I had to check back with an old school friend, and there was something that we used to do, because it was her and I that were very much the same. Mm-hmm. And we used to levitate people.
Oh, wow.
We actually used to levitate people. And it was one of those, many years later you think, did I really do that? That sounds really weird. No, I must have dreamed that one. So I got back in touch with her and said, did we do this? She said, yeah, we did. I'm like, oh, okay.
But how did your parents handle this wayward child, or were they quite open?
No, well, that was the lucky part. I come from a large family, and the majority of us, we spent till wee hours of the morning talking about ETs and astronomy and, all of those things that go bump in the night.
So you chose well.
I must have. Yeah, I'll pat myself on the back for that choice.
That was quite a good choice, because most of us come from the black sheep in the family story, where we have to move through different situations to make us either stronger or awake or rebel or whatever it is that is your way of coming through into your gifts.
Yes, yeah. And there's a number of people that are like that. I'm not saying that I wasn't a black sheep. Because the environment I was in with the school,
yes,
and where things were way back then, it was absolutely taboo. I was reading the cards at the age of 11, but I didn't tell anybody for years and years. I kept that so secretive to myself. So I've only come out of the closet probably the past 15, 20 years or something.
Wow, that's amazing. And now, so did you start off doing, how did you sort of get into, did you go into mainstream work, or how did that work?
Yeah, I've been in the traditional day jobs, the office work, etc., thrown deep into the data and business analysis side of IT for my sins.
Well,
But
then Arcturian energy will be pulling in through there.
absolutely, and we had a discussion about meeting an Arcturian, which we can come across a little bit later. But yes, I was very much deep in the left brain work. And I think, like many, one of the challenges I faced, which I know I come across people doing this all the time, is how to integrate that right brain work with the left brain work. I see it as every step you take is right brain, left brain, right brain, left brain. So it's having a foot in both worlds with every step that you take.
Yeah, and I think that for me is, it's rare to find people who are really into their remembering and their gifts are really forward. Those are the people that are pretty grounded. I mean, I look at you and I look at myself and quite a few of my friends, we're pretty grounded. And I think the grounding means that you've possibly had many lifetimes on earth, or you're just attuned to those frequencies where you are not, your idea of where you want to go is so strong, which is a typical star seed. You know, you've got this burning desire to help people see what you see and to help them to make their path easier. But to do that, you have to be pretty grounded. You can't, well, you can sit and fly kites for rain all day, but it doesn't help you further. I think, unless that's your calling, you know, it can also be your calling. So
yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I often say is that you can only fly high when you're grounded or when you're tethered. You know, it's okay having a hot air balloon, but you know, you need to be tethered to the ground. And so I'm finding that those people, exactly as you're saying, that can fly high, that can access those other realms and dimensions, are very grounded. And it's because they are grounded, they're tethered,
yes,
that they are allowed to go that far, and they're not just flailing around
yes.
up there
and getting influenced all over the place, because it's all very well being connected into the galactics and exploring the Pleiadians and the Arcturians and Andromedan energies and Orion and whatever, but you still have to bring it down into the functionality of living here on Earth, or helping others to access it, or just bringing down knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely that. Yeah. And you know, we're blessed that we can do that, but it's then learning, how do you do that? How do you walk with a foot in each
how
way?
do I help people?
Correct.
Without them also just flying off into the galaxy all the time and not bringing it into the reality, because the reality is we're here to pull correct me if I'm wrong, or you have a different view, to pull a dense matter of a body through the dimensions and up into higher dimensions. And that is, I think, the great experiment, is to see if we can actually achieve this.
That's right. Yeah. I hold with your thought there, Michelle, and it's a case of, the way that I view it is, only those of a very high frequency and vibration can occupy this physical suit. Yeah, those that are of a dense vibration will find it an absolute struggle, because the suit is heavy.
It is.
And we have this really, we as in collectively, have this really high vibration. And, you know, we're very strong, expanded spiritual beings. And we are here to experience, how do we break through this suit?
Yes.
And that's exactly the way I see it.
Exactly. And the messages that we keep getting are, anchor into the light, follow the light, raise your vibration. And we keep thinking from a humanity point of view, yeah. But that is the only way through. It's the only way. Once we drop the polarization, once we drop the all the stuff, that all the energy that is hooked into us, that drags us down, that makes us even sink lower, in a lower vibration, that highest vibration is what we are all needing to achieve.
Yes, yeah. And some people struggle doing it by themselves. So that's where the likes of, you and I and others can help seed that vibration into other people.
Exactly. We have been working, and we obviously have been working lifetimes, and I believe that every lifetime is a foundation. So we've obviously been working lifetimes on raising our vibration to the point where we can be in the meat suit, as I call it, and then help others to tap into the vibration. And this is what I've always said is, if you are around a person with a high vibration, you automatically meld, your field will meld with that person's vibration, and automatically be uplifted into that vibration if you can hold it. And that explains a lot of times when you get into a group with the select groups that many people are now starting to gather to and be drawn to, that the accessibility to more information happens when we collaborate in with groups with higher vibrations.
Yeah, absolutely. The collective consciousness is absolutely that. And there is the reverse that could happen to some people, where they are of that high vibration, or they're coming into that high vibration, and then they go into the lower vibrational world and it drops off. So they need to keep reinforcing that, and building that, working it,
yes.
To allow themselves to raise a little higher, go up those steps of the ladder, so to speak.
And that's the thing. That is why we're being called into stillness. We're being called into quietness. We are being asked to listen to the messages, and the only way we can do that is to be in a quiet space. And
yes.
I think, judging by what's going on in the world at the moment, we're being forced to go into a quiet space, and some of us are rebelling against it. Even the light workers and the starseeds and the way shows are rebelling against it. And I think part of the thing is part of that message is being misinterpreted.
Yeah, I've heard this time when people are in lockdown as sacred seclusion, and I like that term.
Beautiful.
It is, and a classic, the only way out is in.
Exactly.
It's absolutely spot on.
I don't know how to explain it. It's where the energy goes into you and out and back in again. It's that vision of that cycle that just keeps repeating. And then, I just keep getting that vision of that. So that quietness, the stillness is where you hear the beautiful messages, where you can channel or connect in, or whatever it is, however you receive your messages. And I think the world is just missing this point. I read an interesting article this morning from Diana Cooper that I get an email from her, and I actually think I sent it to you. And she was saying that Tim Wilde has just had COVID. And he actually said that for him, when he tuned into the energy of it, it was all about the purification of the body. So once you have COVID, it releases, while you're having COVID, it releases the negative energies and it raises your vibration. And I was just going to wonder and say, how do you feel about that one? Because, wow.
Throw that one at me.
It's nothing like unpreparedness to see how it goes.
Totally. From that point of view, you could look at that from every angle of disease, sickness, whatever, because all of it can be seen as a cleansing. if you choose to view it that way. Do we, it's a rhetorical question, do we choose to take that into our body as a learning? I don't know. Do we choose to take that as a cleansing, to work with that vibration for the higher good of everybody else?
For me, it's a really interesting thought pattern to understand that we are going through this, and if we surrender and allow it to move through our body, which obviously Tim Wilde has done, and and then understanding this entity, for him, that was his experience. And it could very well be the experience of all of us if we, I haven't spoken to anybody who has had COVID who realistically, like you say, none of us have really spoken to that many people who've had COVID. So the fear generated around this thing has been quite massive. But it was just an interesting point that I saw this morning, that he tapped into the energy of it, and it was what he mentioned. What he said was it was pure white light.
That's very fascinating.
It's really fascinating. Let me see if I can find it on my phone and I can read exactly quickly what just his words were. Because I thought, wow, that is a beautiful way of seeing something that we see as a darkness, as a fear.
Yeah, I mean, as we all know, with these sorts of situations, should we choose to be in the left world, as I'll call it for now, the left foot, from that fear base, it can perpetuate things. If we could shift across to the right foot.
Exactly, because we draw it in. So basically what she was saying, Tim Wilde, he'd had a nasty bout. He caused him to tune in and talk to the virus entity. He was expecting a nasty dark being to emerge. Instead, a beautiful pink, white, and yellow angel appeared. It told him that viruses come into you to clear out low vibrations and anything you need to release from your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. As a result, you emerge from a viral attack at a much higher frequency. And he saw that it was transmuted from energy field to energy field, and your soul undertakes the experience of the virus. It is an upgrade program. This is part of the plan to raise the frequency on Earth. Wow.
I love it.
Throw something like that into the pot and go.
Exactly.
I love discussing this, because to me that is a whole new picture for me on this issue.
Yeah, I can grasp the concept of that, and I like the idea of the pink white angel. I could actually see that as you were saying that. But yeah, it's no reason why that couldn't happen from a logical point of view. But it is just it could potentially be a cleansing, because when there's a virus in the body.
Can I throw that into you? Is that what a beautiful message to attach to something that is causing such fear.
Absolutely.
Light workers and spiritual light. I mean, for all we know, that has been planted because Tim obviously has a huge following. It's been planted in his energy field to start rippling out to the spiritual community, that not to fear this, as to accept it as an upgrade rather, because remember, thoughts are everything. And if we can change our thought patterns around things, that is when our intentions and our thought patterns, that is when we change the vibration of what is happening, because this is just a vibration that is taking over the earth vibration, and it's been bloody successful.
Yeah, it is a vibration, it is a frequency. Everything is a frequency, and if you can transmute that frequency into a higher frequency, then absolutely.
And I believe that I'm getting goosies all over the back of my head here and down my shoulders. It's like transmuting the fear into the possibility that it is an upgrade as a human being from a 3D point of view, that would be so much more acceptable to believe, to raise our frequency out of the fear, to help us
Yes.
to
Yes.
raise ourselves out of that fear.
Yeah, yeah. And clearly what he did is what we said earlier, he went in, went within to then recognize what it was and bring that message out. Yeah, I can take that it could be an upgrade. Yeah, absolutely. With a cleansing.
Personally, I don't think it's, on a 3D level, it's not an upgrade. But from a mind point of view, if you're starting to think in the higher vibrational energy, the mind is everything, because our mind is what dictates how we feel, how we transmute, how we access everything. So if we can retrain our brain to think like that around this thing that we are facing in the world, then that will automatically raise our vibration, because we won't be tapping into the fear of this. We'll be tapping into the vibration of an upgrade rather. So it'll be a positive experience when you, and there'll be less fear involved.
Yeah, absolutely. In my world, from my path that I've come on, everything is received from your heart first, and then it goes to the mind. So whatever comes in through the heart, so fear actually comes in through the heart, and then it goes to the mind and upwards. So it's actually receiving that information through your heart space. That to me is your master portal. And
absolutely. And I mean, I feel like it's so interesting that Tim Wilder said that for me personally, because in the last week, I have honestly felt, I wonder if it would be good if I could just, like in the olden days, we used to take our children to a measles party or whatever and go, let them get it so that they can get immunity and get over it. And we'll handle the consequences. And I'm just wondering if that's how we probably need to have a look at this thing in a more, well, if we're going to get it, then we need to work. I mean, obviously, we all need to work on our immune systems and that. But I had this thought that came into my head, and I'm just wondering if it correlates to the message from Tim Wilde, which was just interesting because I don't follow him that much, I must be honest. I do, I listen to him, but I'm not an avid follower. I don't know.
It's a fascinating subject, and it's a very emotive subject for many people as well.
Wow.
So, it is.
On to something else. Let's talk about the weather.
Oh yeah, beautiful and sunny where I am right now. It's beautiful blue skies.
It's a beautiful day, and that's what I say. But I always have a chuckle in New Zealand because the 1st of September, it's spring and it's awesome, and we have 3 or 4 days of absolute glorious weather around the beginning of spring in September, and then it just goes, well, here in Wellington, it just goes downhill from there.
Well, we'll change that.
Yeah, so long may this weather last, but we say it every year, and I've been here long enough to know that it won't. Not in Wellington anyway.
I'm still going to be optimistic.
Yeah. So now you need to talk to me a little bit more about, so you do readings around the world. You were telling me this fascinating story about the Italian person that you did a reading for, or Italian couple or something. That was fascinating.
Oh my, there's a lot. I work with my own modality called dimensional healing. So that's what I do, and I can speak a little bit about that shortly. And with that, I connect with anything, any place, anywhere. So it's ancestral, past life, multi-dimensional, interplanetary, wherever, whatever. I don't ask for anything to come through. I've always had the ability to get myself out of the way and just be that channel, for want of a better word, that pipe where the information comes through. So I was asked to look at without giving any secrets away or any personal information, for people overseas, work with people all across the world.
Yeah.
And so I was asked to look at a place rather than a person. So what was it with this place that somebody was experiencing deja vu? And so rather than look at the person and why there was deja vu, I actually looked at the place. And that was actually a new one for me, just looking at a location. So from that point of view, I tuned into them. I do use talks and vibrational instruments to help me tune in as my aid, if you will. And from that, I saw the place it happened to be in Italy. And it was very, very clear images that I was seeing. And I saw that there was like something came down a hill and wiped things out. And I saw an old lady system that had lots of information. And I'm just forever curious. My left brain always kicks in at some point. And so after the session, I thought, let me have a look at this place in Italy. So I called up the place that it was, and absolutely spot on was an image of the exact corner of the street that I was in, that I was on, and the shop window, although the shop window, when I saw it, was little panes of glass, whereas in the image it had been revamped and it had one big pane of glass, but it was exactly the same. It had the same little square in the middle, and the that would have had some sort of plinth or something on it in the middle, the bricks that they build things on in the middle of a square. So they would have had that. And it was just the same. And I could actually see there was a door opposite with a step. And that's where the old woman was sitting. But she wasn't there in the picture. But that's where she was sitting in the picture that I found on Google.
And that's the thing. I think, we're starting to be able to access past lives or concurrent lives, as you were. We're I think we're at that point where we can safely say we're not sure that it was in the past anymore.
Right.
So the interesting learnings that we get from being able to tap into these images that we collect, and then be able to use it in this lifetime to help us on our path. Because the Akashic records, as we call them, are only there for us to access so that we can navigate our way better through this lifetime.
Yeah, they're guide stones, if you will. In my point of view, I actually don't work in the Akashic records field. That's not something I've claimed to do. And what I do came about as a result of another modality I was using, and I was working remotely with somebody in Spain. And she was describing what she could see in her picture. And I said to her, is this in your picture? Is that in your picture? This you that you can see, are you wearing this? And she said, yes. I said, I'm standing right behind you.
Wow.
And that's where this was born from. And I was given the name dimensional healing. And I don't like using the word healing because that conjures up people are going to be healed.
It's that get up Lazarus and walk stuff, which it just
Exactly.
doesn't work for me.
I know. But
I wanted to call myself an energy shifter because I feel that is a bit more, until the right words come into our whatever. But unfortunately, people identify with healing as a healer, and sometimes you have to sort of, to appeal to more people, you have to use the words healing. But I agree with you. I'm so uncomfortable using that word.
Yes, yeah. It's not a word I choose, but they chose it for me and were insistent I use the word dimensional healing. So I did try to resist, but they got their way. As usual.
You get this booming voice in your head and you just can't ignore it. And
or pick up the button, literally.
I agree with you. We were having this chat about the fact that we act on things. So we get the prompt and we need to act. We feel that need to act. And the more we act, the better our prompts get, the more clearer the messages get. And I think this is where a lot of people go, oh, you're so lucky. You've got such a great open channel. But it's because I believe that the more we act on the pings and the messages that we get, the clearer the channel becomes. It's like cleaning out dirty pipes.
Yes, yeah, exactly that.
Yeah. Okay, so you do the remote sort of obviously all online. and not just in person, you do them online for customers around the world.
Yeah, when I do that, I don't need to see or speak with anybody at all. And all I need is an email or something, or a booking, and you say, I want to look at this.
Okay.
And I work exactly as if I was doing a session for that person in person. The treatment bench is set up, I am there, and you are there. No two ways about it. Your holographic body is there. And there's an interesting story where a couple wanted to know what past lives they had had together.
Yes.
And I had to do individual readings for them. And my left logical, cynical brain will constantly kick in and go, I'm just going to tell them the same thing, because they're together and, I assume married, and they've had these past lives, and what she did, he did. But no, that didn't happen that way. And I got really surprised. And that's where I came also to identify with the concurrent lives,
Yes.
because with the work that I do in the dimensional healing that I've been gifted, is that when a past life appears, it's because there was some trauma that has been unresolved.
Mm-hmm.
So in my world, in this world, the spirit body, the light body ascends. I don't like to use the word die. It ascends, but where there is trauma, it's like it doesn't ascend 100%. So you've got a puzzle, and there's just a fragment, a portion, a fractal, whatever you wish to call it, that is left behind. So a piece of that puzzle. And because that ascension is only, say, 95%, that piece of puzzle is still left behind, then that will replicate through other lifetimes.
Yes, and grow almost.
Correct, because it will keep manifesting. Exactly. So from that 95% first ascension of that trauma that happened first time, next time you experience that, it might be 90%, and then 85%, as an example.
Yeah.
So that's where you can get some of these deep traumas from. I don't ask, again, it's just all through me, not by me. If what comes up is the very first event where that trauma happened, where for one client, we went straight to biblical times.
Yeah.
And again, I don't ask, it's just what comes through me, and I question everything that comes through, because I'm like that.
Yeah,
my left brain is just
exactly. I'm fully grounded. I'm like,
Exactly. Yeah, it is that fully grounded. And some of the stuff has been absolutely crazy. So with that biblical times, that happened to be the very first event that this trauma happened. I didn't know that. But all that needed was one session, and the client's been absolutely fine ever since.
Well, that's how I feel. I think in this time now, there's something that's changed, that we're able to access it in this lifetime and clear it so much quicker. That before, I think it was much more of a struggle.
Yeah.
It's like the energies are more conducive to changing karmic patterning and changing all that type of stuff. It's just, I don't know, maybe it's a level of consciousness that we needed to get to be able to change it, or the vibration again also needed to change to a level where it was possible. I'm not sure. But
yeah, absolutely. The collective consciousness is changing, without a doubt. It is changing. I think many people are realizing that.
Yes.
Even those that have never been on the spiritual quote path.
There's many that are, like again, like you say, this cliched name of waking up or awoke. It's like, oh God. But it is what it is. That is the way we're labeling it at the moment. But yes, there are so many people that are really seriously not just awakening in the calm, sort of soft way, but awakening in a sudden realization. Man, this is just not what I signed up for. Holy moly, this is hectic. Where do I go? Who do I go to find out all this stuff? And then often I find a lot of people just get so overwhelmed by it.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's when I say, bring it into the now again. Bring it right into right now where you are, to keep you grounded, to then start the work, that you need to do.
Absolutely. I mean, I used to think years ago that grounding was for muggles, grounding was for the, non-awake people, but it's absolutely not. It's an integral part of, all the work that we
I'm getting this vision of these circular things,
Taurus.
which, this energy that keeps coming through us, up, around, and back down again. And whenever I work with the Pleiadians, or I'm asked to, like the Pleiadians or whoever, mainly the Pleiadians at the moment, when I'm asked to do like a group healing type access into new higher energies, and I find the Pleiadians are the easiest way to do that, because they're just the most they understand more about what we're going through than most of the other energies that we come across, and they're the closest simulated whatever. I don't know. I have no words for it, but for me, whenever I do that, I am always asked to connect into the Earth star and then push that energy into the Earth first, and then create this electronic light stream of, like, almost like a lightning strike, that energy coming up through all the energy points of the body and then flowing up towards and higher. Because and I'm getting goosies now, because we need to be into the Earth. I mean, the Earth holds the frequency. She's
correct. Yes.
The reason why we feel better when we go and spend time in nature, and we've disassociated ourselves from nature, and we have to learn to be tapped into that grounding before we can, so yeah, every time I get asked to do some kind of connection it's the grounding that comes first.
Yeah, absolutely. And from both sides, the right and the left brain, we have the Schumann resonance as our guide to see where the Earth is. Now, the base frequency is still 7.83. But if you look at the Schumann resonance, it is constantly around about 15 to 20 now. So that's how much we have collectively increased, in our Earth vibration. And of course, that comes up through the soles of our feet. The first thing that our heart does in the womb is connect with the 7.83 of the Earth. And that's who we are. We resonate with that. So of course we're going to be expanding that out.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. I'm noticing younger people are now starting to. The new cool thing is to go hiking barefoot, and I'm just
wonderful.
A chuckle, because I'm thinking, like, that's exactly what I've been missing so much, coming to a much colder country. I mean, when I grew up, I was barefoot all the time. And it helped me ground so much. And clearly in the last 10 years and plus, being in a colder climate has been quite a different way of connecting. But I've learned to almost sit and connect. My way of connecting now is in through the trees.
Yes.
It's almost like I connect and meld with the energy of the trees and then go. And I hug trees a lot, because often for me, taking my shoes off into wet, muddy, cold ground is just too jarring for my physical body.
So, yeah. No, the trees hold a lot of information.
Oh man, they are incredible. Okay, so, and your other modality, is that your main modality? Is where
that's a modality I love to play in the most. It's a dimensional healing. Yes, I do other things.
And what
what are those? My left brain. I'm a pain management specialist.
Awesome.
My left brain, and that's a physical treatment, but that's also done off the body, remotely. I always say remotely rather than distant or online. So for me, it's like remote viewing.
And is that tapping into an energy field of the recipient?
I suppose that's what's happening. I just allow that to be, and just allow myself to sense or feel that. Many years ago, I used to use a wand. I had like a Harry Potter wand with a book still on the end. I still do have it. It's a beautiful wand.
Yes.
And I've swapped that now for tuning forks.
Yes.
And the tuning forks are so powerful, remarkably powerful. because you one, can adjust the frequency and the vibration and the resonance of that fork to match what it is that's being sensed. So what I am sensing, this may or may not stack up with true science, but I'm sensing that the likes of pain will have a particular waveform, anxiety has a waveform, depression, etc. And so intuitively, it won't always be the same frequency. It depends on the person, because their energy body matches the way that waveform comes out.
What I'm getting is what you're doing is their pain is at a frequency wave that is moving like this, and you put in the tuning fork that almost clashes with that other wave of their pain to actually stop it and change it and jumble it up so that it has to almost have a reset. So that's what I'm seeing what you are doing. Is that kind of what you...
To some extent, because when that waveform comes out, there's encoded information. So if there's anxiety in there, for example, it will have all the instances of anxiety that's ever happened to you in this physical suit and in any past dimensional multi-ancestral life.
Yes.
So that's encoded information. So the tuning fork can pick up that encoded information and transfer that to me. And that's where I interpret that encoded information to you. Everyone that has a distance session has a full 1 hour audio recording that I send them. We just go blah, blah, blah. I don't remember the majority of it.
Yes.
So I relay that encoded information to the person. And in doing so, the frequency can negate that block. I see it as barcode. Okay, the tuning fork is my barcode reader. So that's the barcode. And so the tuning fork will negate and dissolve that barcode, so that aspect of the anxiety never happened.
This dissolves.
It dissolves. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the way I've been shown that it's working.
Yes.
But that's again through me, not by me.
It's incredible, isn't it amazing? I'm just absolutely floored at where we are going, what we're unfolding, what we're starting to see. It is truly galactic. That is the only word that I can call it, because it is of this world.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to touch base where we mentioned the Actuarians before.
Yes.
Many years ago, some may have heard of Eric Pearl and reconnective healing. And no, some may have. I learned that many years ago. Eric Pearl came to New Zealand and I went and learned with him direct reconnective healing. And he made a statement about how we are all steeping in this energy. And like a tea bag, I'm like, yeah, okay. And, learning all the things that were going on. That night I went into my hotel room and it was about on the, 7th floor or whatever it may have been. And one thing that I learned that day, people can say the same thing over and over, but when one person says it will just stick. And it was, love is the absence of fear and fear is the absence of love. And that just went deep into every cell of my body. So had dinner in my hotel room, head on the pillow, lights out. Something fell off the TV screen. I don't watch TV, never watched it. And I thought, okay, love is the absence of fear, fear is the absence of love. So I put that into practice and I stayed out of fear. And I saw through my third eye this creature about 4 foot high and what it looked like, a little bit like these people behind me. And it was giving me all this information. And what it said was that we are all part of, and that was its words, not mine, cosmic multi-level marketing. And what that means is that I speak to you,
yes.
Speak to me, and give you information. You tell 2 or 3 other people, they tell 2 or 3 other people, and said that's how it's going. Cosmic multi-level marketing is the way that they show
the information is coming through.
Yeah.
I feel like every time one of us overcomes something and raises our vibration, we are collectively putting that juice, that brilliant vibration into the world. So If we work on our vibration only, it is the done work. You've done what you came to do. And that is partly why I think my biggest thing is follow the joy. Just follow the joy, because that's why I do the art. And I love watching people absorb themselves in the art. Number one, the stillness comes through. Number two, that joyous color, the vibration of the color, you're just absorbing that color. And it's that joy, the simpleness, and the simple life that is what we are needing to overcome all the stuff. So tune out of all the negative and the fear and the vibrational fear, and bring it again into the now.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is who we are meant to be here.
Exactly.
That's exactly who we're meant to be. Yeah. It's not meant to be complicated or complex. It's just we're meant to live from our heart. We're not meant to use this much.
No,
it is using, communicating with the heart and here. That's who we're meant to be.
Yes.
And everybody can do it. Everyone can do it. It's just allowing themselves to be, we keep referring to this, in the stillness, within their heart space, as I say, and it will come. It will come.
Exactly. It's practice. It's practicing. And it's not necessarily sitting cross-legged on a bed of nails, it's not doing that. It's the old way, it's the punishment that we enjoyed, like, that self-flagellation where you basically just beating your back about the fact that don't let your thoughts wander, You have to do it through joy.
Yes. Yeah. And by letting your thoughts wander, that's where you can often connect with these other beings. While you're pulling it in, you're stopping everything.
Holding that control thing again.
That's right. Yeah, let it wander. With the work I do, sometimes I think I'm just daydreaming.
Well, that's the thing. The imagination is wild, because when I first started connecting in, I have a wild imagination. I've always been told, oh my God, Michelle, you've got a wild imagination. But I've never tried to block it, because to me it was my escape.
Yes. Yeah.
It was an escape from a reality that was really tough for me to deal with. So I would escape into fantasy. And then the fantasy started taking shape around ideas and messages. And then I started understanding that the fantasy world started becoming more of tangible information that I could access. Because I look at children, I've been giving quite a few art classes in the last 3-4 years for kids, and they have an active imagination. Although I find many of the younger kids today have been shut down already, even as young as like 5 or 6, their imaginations are shut down already, because they get told, oh, stop, there's no such thing as fairies, and there's no such thing as goblins, and there's no such thing as dragons. And there's, a kid who's fascinated by dragons is clearly needing to pull the dragon energy in and explore more. And it's that imagination is the key.
And that's the thing, we're told just because we imagine it, it's not real. But that's not the case. It's real in another area, in another dimension, time and place.
Exactly. So there will be a fairy realm. There'll be a goblin realm. There'll be obviously dragon realm. There's so many. And we're sort of, as long as we're taught to shut it down, we're spreading the fear.
That's right. Yeah. Something that may be relevant here as well, through the work, we all follow different people on our journey. And I followed somebody called Richard Bartlett, and he developed matrix energetics, I think it's called. And he's a doctor 2 or 3 times over. He's in the States somewhere. And as part of that, he used to work in a psychiatric ward. And he was allocated this person that nobody could do anything with. And I don't remember the entire story. I may be putting it out of context somewhat. But this person that he was allocated to, all they saw was blue elephants, and they thought this person was mad.
Yeah.
He knew the measure. And so what this person was seeing was Ganesha.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
that really struck a chord with me. And that's where I think my cells lit up and thought, well, it's not fairy tale land.
No.
You know, we are actually seeing these beings, these things that are out there, and let's put them out there for the good. Only see what is good and light and love.
It's really interesting because I've always had an aversion to fairies and elementals, because as I grew up, I was kind of more in the masculine energy, and I'm pretty grounded as well. And I've only in the last, I would say, 6 to 7 years allowed my imagination to go into the fairy realm. And I mean, because I'm pulling very much a warrior energy in, more so in this lifetime for the things that I wanted to accomplish than the soft fairy life. But I know a friend of mine who is the most sensitive soul, and she lives in fairyland. And I agree, she is struggling to be on this earth, because everybody needs to be function, whatever. But I know that many of us that are coming down now, who are coming either a little bit early, are have asked our soul family, the parents, to be providers of a beautiful cocoon to allow these beautiful beings to come in, to be able to, I won't say function yet, but to spark this new vibration on the earth. And the ones that are being, like you say, locked up or can't function, those are the ones that are bringing in this completely different frequency that is unable to function in the dense energy at the present energy density level vibration.
Yeah, I see some of the children that are coming in. We've got grandkids, and they are, magic. Not because they're my grandchildren, but because I'm around them, and you can see how tuned in they are.
Absolutely, it's
and that's amazing. And people are, the labels of the ADHD and autism and Asperger's. I've always seen that as a higher vibration, because they can access and do things that us mere mortals, so to speak, cannot.
And they are so super sensitive, and they often come down with a soul parent who can dedicate their life almost to being the protector of them, so that in the next lifetime when they come down, they will be more attuned into the vibration, and the earth will have risen even more, the vibration in the earth, and we will be, as humanity, much more tolerant. Those are the little stages, but obviously once we understand that these beings are here to give us a complete different view of how to live, how to communicate, into that beautiful new vision of what it could be.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's
a magical world out there. It really is. From a imaginary point of view, when I first started tuning into the multidimensional beings, because my work was ancestral past life, I didn't ask for multidimensional beings to come through. And I started seeing this really, what I thought was random stuff. And I was like, really? You show me that? Are you sure? And then when I relay that to the client, they go, oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yes, I know. And then you go, oh, okay, so I'm not the nuts one. There's another one like me too.
That's right. That's it. Yeah.
I see you, we're both nuts, but actually, you know what? We're not really nuts anymore. There's more of us around,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So it's so interesting how many of us are starting to talk about it. It's one of my reasons for having these galactic conversations, is that people can start listening to others that are talking about stuff like this, and are starting to understand that they're not alone. And if you are starting to dabble into this imaginative world, it's not that you're going cuckoo.
Now I can muggleize these things as well. So I've been given the gift of being able to
Be the bridge.
make it sound logical. Yeah, I am the bridge. Yeah, and so from that point of view, we could say that if people thought they were going mad and oh, I'm not taking any of this crazy cuckoo stuff. The subconscious thinks in pictures. It will give you pictures to keep you safe.
Yes.
Some of the pictures may be random. Does it matter? If
Well,
that's what it's giving you,
people always want to have it so explained and in detail understood. And part of the remembrance is just allow this information to wash through you and waiting for the understanding to come. Because, you know, when I say, oh, I'll say something like, oh, there's a new guide that's come in. And all of the people always want to know, so what does he look like? What is his name? Da, da, da. And is it a he? Is it a she? And I was like, I don't actually care. I'm just excited to get to know this new energy that is, I don't want to label it. I have no need to label it, or it'll sometimes show itself in a kind of figure form so that I can identify. It's almost like it's leaving breadcrumbs for me so that I can identify the energy when it comes in, but it's us tuning into how it makes us feel, what it's trying to ask us to do, that is bridging that from that world into our reality here.
That's right. Yeah. Now, if people want to know the name of their guys, then that's fine. They can ask the name, but it'll be the name for them. Exactly. You know, whatever they can resonate with. Now, I've never ever asked that. Well, I lie. I tell one little lie. I did it once. I thought, oh, I'll just find out. I'm curious what this is. So I went into a meditation. I'm not one that meditates very often. So I went into this meditation, and this name came through. I'm like, what sort of name is that? And so I Googled it because they know that I do that. Yes. And the translation, it's a very rare and old name. And the translation simply meant, I love you.
Oh, man.
That was the name of my guide.
This was the name, right?
Okay, thank you.
It's the same with me. I've never studied the angelic energies, and a friend of mine is quite into the angelic. I actually did a podcast and a YouTube, obviously, episode with Alice Conway recently, and she does the angelic energies, and she keeps talking about I don't know, one of the angels she was talking about, I think it was Uriel. And I got the word, I woke, I was in a meditation. As I came out of it, I heard the words Ariel. And I saw the opposite. And I thought, Ariel, isn't it Uriel? And then I spoke to her and I said to her, like, what about Uriel? You say Uriel, but what about Ariel? And she said, oh, Ariel's the feminine energy of Uriel. I went, oh. I was like, oh, that's quite cool. I got that. I was like, woohoo! That's kind of the first time I've kind of any time really that I've got a specific name.
Right. Yeah.
It was like quite impressive. I thought, oh, that's pretty good. Because I never really want to know. It's like not really a big thing.
Yeah. I work with Archangel Michael quite a lot. And I do have to say Michael and not Michael, because many years ago he came through me and he was insistent his name was Michael. And I think, well, who am I to go against what an archangel wants to do? Not me. No. And there was a picture that I was shown of something written on somebody's arm, and I couldn't see it. I couldn't remember what it was when I woke up. And I said, well, can you show me that? And all we need to do is ask. This proves the fact, just ask.
And wait.
And and wait. And you don't need to wait too long. And I said, well, can you show me what that said? And so later that evening, I was watching the rugby when I used to watch rugby. And it zoomed in on this guy's arm in the scrum, and it said, in God we trust.
Oh my God. Is that so
okay. Is that what it's
connecting the dots, hey? It's just connecting
Yeah.
the dots because the universe is sending you pictures and information all the time, all
All,
the time.
all the time it's communicating with you through everything, through the bird on the tree, through the license plate on the car, what somebody's reading opposite you.
Exactly.
Constant communicating as well as what's coming through.
Deciphering it, but being grounded in the deciphering, because you can go nuts. That's when people lose it completely, is because all the images just come at them completely and they have this massive dark night of the soul, or whatever they call it, because it just overwhelms them and swamps them. But if you start just noticing a little bit every day, just exercising these beautiful, if a squirrel runs in front of you and you don't normally see squirrels, go and look up squirrel, because there'll be something. I mean, I read them, and I was sitting on the beach and we saw a rabbit run in front of us on the beach. Now, to me, having a rabbit run in front of you on the beach is not a normal thing.
No.
And I came home and looked up rabbit, and rabbit was abundance. And in that moment, it made such sense. You have those little things every day little things that we need to oil and listen to and act on.
It's the acting on, exactly that. Yeah, one thing that has changed, did absolutely change my life, is when I had a session with Ron, my husband, because he does shamanic healing.
Amazing.
And so he brings through your spirit animal. And we were developing his modality, and he was working with me. And what came through was a badger. And the badger was saying, be seen. Don't hide, be seen. And from that moment on, I quit the day job completely. And I went out there and be seen as a direct result of that badger's message that lit up my DNA and my cells within me. Exactly. And got that direct contact. The universe went, yes, now you're on alignment.
My guides have been pushing me to do YouTube channel. And oh my word, I kicked against it. And now I'm just going, you know what? I'm just going to do it now. I just keep getting to do this YouTube channel and be on, because it took me so long to get over myself, it's acting on it and saying, okay, fine, it's scary and I need courage, but I'm going to do it. There's a reason why I married a man with a surname called Courage, because I needed lots of courage to overcome certain things that I needed. I needed a reminder all the time.
Yep, no, it's always there in front of us, always. As I said, if it's the pictures your subconscious is giving you to keep you safe, and they look like big sticking insect creatures that I've seen, or whatever it might be, then you can either make a choice of saying, yes, that's a stick insect race, or that's just an image to keep me safe. Yes. And either way works. It doesn't really matter as long as you feel better.
Well, exactly. And that's the thing. I think it's finding the joy, seeking the joy, and believing the joy, and believing the light, following the light path rather than the darker path, not seeing the negative darkness around it, choosing to see the lightness out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, oh man, this has been wonderful. Now we quickly have to do something. You're going to change your background, and then you're going to show us exactly what you're busy with at the moment.
What I'm busy with at the moment. I'll try and choose. There we are. Da, da, da.
So
we are the Resonate Wellness Centre. Step out of the way.
It's based in Kapiti, which is about, I would say, 45 minutes north of Wellington. Sometimes less on a good day.
Yeah, thereabouts. Yeah. So this was a universal nudge, and everything happened totally universally. It still is. And we have 10 practitioners working from there, you being one of them now, Michelle, which we're very honoured to have you work from there. And we offer everything from literally pain management, nutritional diet testing, all the grounding stuff.
I mean, I had a session with one of the ladies that I would never have been able to find. And oh my word, virtual lymphatic drainage. My goodness, is she so talented. And it was online, it wasn't even that we had to come in, which, is even more stretching out of that zone. So
Yeah, we've been really blessed to draw in some really talented people into the Wellness Centre, really high vibrational people. And as a result, New Zealand was in level 4 lockdown a little while ago.
Let's just tell you, you're the one who's attracting these in there. So clearly somebody's, I would take it if I were you, because you're attracting all these high vibrational people.
I've heard that said before, so I'll just be a light to attract all the moths to the flame sort of thing. But I don't take it personally. But yeah, we've just developed an online section. So with all the talent and the depth of knowledge that we have is just so expansive. I know it's going to expand from there. We now have a wonderful online section of people offering things such as yourself as well, and the lymphatic drainage, shamanic healing, all sorts of things going on with their, my dimensional whatever healing and so on.
Yeah,
so,
I think it's a mind switch into understanding that we're dealing with energy here.
Yes.
And the more we understand and sort of pull in the understanding of vibrational energy, the more we're going to be open to the healing being done online, because obviously the person who's giving the healing word again,
yes.
vibrational energy, it can only be absorbed in through the recipient who is open to that.
Yeah. There's a two-edged sword to that, because yes, they need to be open, but it's their higher self, I feel, needs to be open rather than their conscious mind.
Yes, because that's it. But I think if they are more open in the flesh, as in now here, not only will the higher soul obviously say, yes, please help my other self, because they're struggling, but I think if they're more open to it in the flesh here, then it's going to be much more well absorbed. The vibration will be absorbed even more so, and the feeling will be accepted into the body and energy field.
Yeah, they will receive more benefits, higher benefits. Yeah, definitely. But there are two types. There's distant and online. So the distant, a lot of the time at the distance, there's no need to have any contact. So you may need an email or information about, I want to work with my bad knee, or I want to find out what I was in a past life, or whatever it might be, or, connect with the galactics. But the online is more where it's this sort of face-to-face, either audio or video. So they're two quite separate things. I think we've got about 14 or so different treatments on there at the moment.
Amazing.
Which is great. And I know that's going to grow, including animal communication.
Which is incredible, because the other lady that I know, she's not the lady that works with Resonate at the moment, but I went for a reading with her. I mean, I didn't even go. She just said, send me a picture of the animal.
Was that Tina?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, I know Tina very well.
Tina, and literally she sent me, and what she was telling me about my dog was absolutely dinkum. There was no way that she could have dreamt that one up, because my dog is quite unique in her mannerisms. And so, yeah, and I mean, the animal healing is just incredible.
It is a communication. I had an animal communicator with one of my cats when it was sick. And it wasn't what she said, it was the way she said it. And I thought, you know what? If you could talk, my cat, that's exactly how you would speak. And that really made me chuckle, because it was quite prissy.
I mean, I always know that the animals come into our lives, from different realms, and the most incredible little beings that they are, and that energy force around us definitely helps soothe and comfort and bring joy, fun, unconditional love.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's so fascinating. We could talk for hours and hours.
I know, yeah.
I think we've been going for a while now.
I think so, yes, about an hour or so. Yeah,
so is there anything else that you want to chat about regarding Resonate? Basically, go onto the website. Yeah, just go onto the website. No, it's Resonate, REZONATE. Then Wellness Centre, so REZONATEWE
LLNESSCENTRE .co.nz. Yeah, so just have a nosy around there and see what's of interest. Just go to the online, for those that are not local, just go to the online services section and just see what appeals, have a read.
Absolutely. And if you're not sure, just get in touch with Debby at Resonate and maybe have a chat with her via email or even Messenger, I would say.
Absolutely, or social media, Resonate Wellness Centre, Twitter, Instagram, just put those on.
Able to best tell you the right person to help you within the field of wherever, what you need to have worked on.
Yeah, or just interested in, I'm curious how this works, curious how the lymphatic clearing works, or curious, what past life or whatever. Yeah. Curiosity, check it out.
That's fabulous. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you.
As always, an amazing galactic conversation. I love it. And we'll definitely have to have another chat soon. So I'm going to sign off now. Thanks so much for listening. As always, maybe if you've got a chance, listen to any of the other galactic conversations. Subscribe to the either the podcast or the YouTube channel. That would be fabulous. And if you really want to make me happy, send me a review. Okay, I'll sign off now.